Okay, we should be live. Hey, Willie. How's it going?
Hey, good. How are you, Chris?
Good. We'll give it 1 second. I just want to make sure that we actually go live. Yes, we are absolutely live on the YouTubes. And hello, everybody. Anyone that's joining, I see 0 watching right now, but I hope that people will start joining really soon.
I see 1.
Hey, there's Hector. So the chat's working. That's good. All right. Oh, we have a lot of people. Well, how come I see 0 watching now on my side? Wow, look at all that. Holy moly.
47. Yeah, they're coming in like droves. You got 4 thumbs up.
Sweet. Well, I certainly like thumbs up.
56.
Holy moly.
Man, this thing's going to go viral. We better be careful.
All right, so rules of the chat. If anyone's a jerk in chat, of course, we're going to kick you right out. And other than that, anything goes. If you guys have questions, if you guys have comments, anything like that, make sure you go ahead and put that in. In fact, let me try out my chat scene. This is going to be that one. There we go. See, so now, Willie, you probably won't see this for a few seconds till it refreshes, but now we'll be able to see the chat while you and I are talking to each other, and we will go from there.
Yeah, I can see the chat. I'm going to make mine full screen here. Everybody, please bear with us too, because there is a little bit of lag time between when Chris and I are talking and you are actually seeing it. So,
that's right.
As I said that, he responded. I hear him instantly, but you're not going to hear that for a few seconds. So bear with us.
Nicaragua. It's not the easiest country to say. Welcome, you guys. Hey, thanks everyone for joining. I see 82 people watching now. Amazing.
122.
Everyone who is in the United States, happy Memorial Day. And what are you doing watching this instead of taking the day off, is what I want to know. Oh, and we're already starting with the questions. Should we jump right into questions or what? Let's talk about what we're going to do today. So, okay, so before we get into questions, for those who don't know Willie, Willie Howe is joining me. Willie has his own YouTube channel. I think it's just called, what is it, like Willie Howe? It's a YouTube / Willie Howe or what?
Yeah, I'll put it in the... they removed my web address. So you just go to YouTube and search for Willie Howe.
YouTube.com/. They took down your web address?
Yeah, pulled the link out of the chat when I tried to put it in there.
Well, that's weird. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay. So Willie's channel here, and I'll bring it over on the screen here. So Willie does... Oh, there's your thing going. You know what? Let me bring my microphone a little bit closer. How's the audio, guy? Let me know if the audio's crappy. Make sure you can hear both of us. Again, we don't live stream that often, so we have to... we're working it out live, as they say. But anyways, Willie has his own YouTube channel. Willie talks about a lot of Ubiquity stuff as well as some other stuff, PF Sense. He does a security Saturdays where he talks about security issues that are prevalent in the world today, or I guess the security issue of the week, if you will.
Right.
And all of that sort of stuff. So if you guys aren't subscribed to Willie, go ahead and get subscribed to him. He does put out a lot of really great content, and he's at 9,200 subscribers. He's trying to get to that 10,000 mark. So
yeah, we're going to give away a brand new USG and a brand new Unify Switch 8 150 watt.
Oh, I'm going to join for that. I could use another one of those.
Right?
Am I qualified to enter? can I enter?
Well,
or
you know, I'm opening it up for everybody, Chris. So we'll have to see when we get to about 9,600. That's when I'm going to put out the rules, and you're not going to have to be an IT to win this. I'm going to kind of do what you did with your 25,000 giveaway, where you opened it up to a much broader base. So I think that helps out quite a bit. So when we did the 5,000, it was the best IT moments, and some people, I think, were kind of offended that it was kind of an IT lock-in. So this time it's going to be wide open.
Yeah, I kind of learned my lesson, I think, on the last one. I did open it up, but I had a weird plagiarism thing happen where I asked for stories, give me your stories that were, the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to you, or whatever it was, and someone just straight up plagiarized someone else's story, and it was a really good story, so they became one of the finalists, and then they got called out, and basically ended up not winning, thankfully, yeah, and then the original girl who told the original story that he had plagiarized then later showed up in the comments to give her 2 cents on it. So that was pretty funny too. The internet is an amazing thing.
It is.
So Harry, it is just Willie Howe. You've got it up on my screen right here. I know it's hard to see, but youtube.com/user/Willie Howe, WILLIEHOWE.
You can also go to ubiquityeverywhere.com, and that will redirect you to my YouTube page.
Or just call Ubiquity support and tell them that you have a problem, and they'll send you to either my channel or Willie's channel.
True story.
Okay, so, yeah, and the live stream is not on Willie's channel. The live stream is only on Crosstalk Solutions, so take that for what you will. All right, so we do have a couple of fun things planned for today. Actually, and we'll kind of leave it up to you guys, like what you want to see. I've got a couple of new pieces of technology that I haven't set up yet, so it's always fun to dive into new technology, figure technology out, and we'll kind of do it live. Normally we do that stuff off camera, and then when we turn the cameras on ourselves, we look like total experts because we already know how to do it. But in reality, we do have to figure that stuff out. So I have 2 things that we can test with. So I've got this that my one of our crosstalk guys, Brandon, sent me a pair of TP-Link wireless bridge units. These are old. I think they're like 2x2 MIMO wireless bridge units. And so we can set these up just to take a look at the interface and see how it compares to like a nano station. Or I've also got... let me put it into full screen so you guys can see it. Sorry, Willie, you're going off camera for a second. I've also got this Axis A8004-VE network video door station that I've never set up. I don't know how it works, so we can also try to get this one going as well. So you guys let me know in the comments if you'd like to see us set one of those up and try to figure it out. And then, let's see, there we go. And then we will also answer your questions along the way.
Let's, before we get into that, let's take a look at this. I saw somebody mention Meraki earlier. Chris and I just talked about this. And a Meraki sales rep, Cisco sales rep or whatever, reached out to me earlier this week and asked me if I would like a slug of equipment for my lab so that I can do videos on it. And so I am getting one of everything that Meraki offers right now. They're going to give it to me for 30 days, and then I will gladly put it back in the box and send it back. I have to work within my means, and I just can't afford Meraki. But I am going to try it out, and maybe I'll do some videos on it. Likely I will do a lot of screen recording and things like that, but I will probably not be keeping it in the lab unless they don't want to charge me for it. But the way it sounds is that they only want me to have it for 30 days. So
I would do videos on it if I were you. I mean, don't miss out on the opportunity to do some Meraki videos. I mean, if they're sending it to you, just make sure they know that you're doing honest reviews of it. And if Meraki products, I've only worked with them a couple times in the past, and they're fine. There's nothing wrong with Meraki. They're just expensive. That's just what it boils down to. Yeah.
I totally agree, and I will actually tell you that I posted on, if you don't follow me on Twitter and Instagram, if you go to my channel, that link is in all my videos, but I posted a picture on Instagram and Twitter about a month and a half ago where I was in a restaurant in Peoria where I'm located, and they're actually pulling out the Ubiquity gear and installing Meraki. So I see it go both ways, and in the wild, those are, in this area, the 2 that I see. Now, Chris, I know You've seen some other ones, right?
Yeah, so I've, as far as equipment that's more expensive than Ubiquity, yeah, I've seen some stuff out there. As a matter of fact, we were working with a customer not that long ago, and this is how, like, I don't know, we're evolving from a time when this kind of stuff that we're doing right now used to be very, very expensive. And that's just all there was to it. Like Cisco, Ruckus, and all of these other guys had they could charge outrageous prices for their stuff because Ubiquity didn't exist yet or wasn't that prevalent yet, right? But now they're becoming more and more prevalent. I see the same thing happening on the PBX side with free PBX versus like, you know, Mitel and these older solutions. But we were talking this morning about this guy that I've got. This is a Ruckus P300 wireless bridge. This is essentially the same as a NanoStation M5. NanoStation M5 costs $85. This costs $900. Right? So is it $900 better than the NanoStation M5? I guess we'll find out when I set it up and test it, right?
I think it depends. Knock on that for a second. Is that thing made out of platinum, gold, silver? What's the material made to justify the $900?
Well, it looks like it's pretty much metal, the whole thing. This case is either, the front part of it is either, I think, is plastic, but the back is, I mean, that's metal. It's got, you know, some connectors for extra antennas that you can have right here, but the front part is, it's either some sort of polymer or some sort of really light metal. I can't really tell. But this is a cool, I mean, it's a cool unit. I'm interested to set it up. The backstory on me and Ruckus is that I went on vacation earlier this year, and the hotel where I was staying had the best Wi-Fi that I've ever experienced, meaning that it was solid. The captive portal had you log in one time at the beginning, you know, when I first got there, and it was valid for 7 days. I never dropped a signal ever around the entire property, and it was a, you know, pretty good size, like, resort hotel. And in my room, I found a Ruckus R500 access point. And so it sort of got me on this Ruckus kick where I was like, oh, I got to try out Ruckus. That thing, you know, the Wi-Fi was so solid at this hotel. But then, of course, you start looking at the pricing and, you know, the annual support fees and the fact that you have to have a central controller for these access points, and the baseline central controller, which I think controls like 5 access points, is $1,200 plus licensing, right? So imagine like if Ubiquity started charging for their Unify controller, that's essentially what you're doing on the Ruckus side. And so it's very, very expensive, but, you know, if it also works, there's something to be said for that. You know, sorry, go ahead, Willie. What were you going to say?
Well, we're talking about support, and I see some things in the comments. So people should know that, well, Chris and I both provide excellent support for not just Ubiquity, but any other products that you contact us with. And it doesn't even have to be a hard product. It can be a soft product, design, whatever. But speaking about Ubiquity support, you can go with the Unify Elite if you haven't heard of that. It's not as expensive as Meraki, but it actually gives you access to phone support with Ubiquity, and I believe those folks are based in Utah. I haven't had any experience with them myself, but I would expect if you're paying for support, you're going to get a little bit of a higher level support than the free chat support. So Ubiquity is able to keep the prices way down because they provide that base level chat. They've got, you know, the help website, and then of course this probably comes as no surprise, and I am going to toot our whistles here, Chris, both of us, but often I get emails saying that support has referred them to the Willie Howe YouTube channel or the Crosstalk Solutions YouTube channel.
Yep.
And if you can't figure it out from watching our videos, then you likely reach out to us. Now, I'm sure Chris, because of the amount of subscribers that he has, and I'm heading in that direction, but I get at least 2 to 3 emails a day where people are asking for free support. So if I'm at the end of the day, and you know, this is not my primary moneymaker, so if I'm at the end of the day and it's a very simple yes, no, or hey, look at this, I may answer those. But I can't, even with 3 emails a day, with everything else I've got going on in my day job, and you know, I do consulting, and then I also do some sub for Chris. You know, I can't answer all those. So, but Chris, what's your experience there?
I mean, same as you. I get a lot of referral business from the Ubiquity support team, which is fine by me. Like I said, it's I'm happy to help them out, I guess, in a sense, because it helps me out ultimately when people come, and like you said, if they can't get what they need from the videos, they will reach out and contact, and then some percentage of those people will ultimately turn into paying customers, which works out. So, yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it. Like I said, we've had this discussion in the past. I think we even talked about this on a live stream, but there's, to very simplify business, there's 3 things that a business can have to be successful. You can have good customer service, you can have good pricing, and you can have good products, right? So most companies are successful if they have 2 out of those 3 things, and Ubiquity has 2 out of 3. They have good pricing and they have good products. Customer support, not so much. But, because they have the other 2 things, they don't necessarily need the customer support.
Right.
All right, so let's see. Let's answer some questions here. Let's pick something out here. So go ahead and ask something now, guys, and we will grab a question or 2, and then we will discuss and move on. Oh, by the way, while we're waiting for some questions to come in, I did want to mention that Super Chat, YouTube Super Chat, which is a feature I've never used before, should be enabled. You guys should see a little $sign down at the bottom of the chat. If you click that and donate to us, that will become a super chat where it will be highlighted in the stream and all that sort of stuff. And if anyone feels like it and they want to buy Willie and myself a beer, I've got one standing by. It is Memorial Day after all. That's a day that you sit around and drink beer. And so if we get a $10 super chat, that's essentially the equivalent of buying Willie and myself a beer, and we will crack one open. At least I will. I don't know, Willie, if you're drinking this early in the day.
I have to I have to drive as soon as this is over, so I will have mine tonight. But I will open it. I'll publish a video tonight, and so I would open it in the video tonight.
Okay. Well, Hugo's here, and Hugo's a very big contributor to the channel. He helps people out in chat and whatnot. It says, Chris, you got some questions to Willie about the captive portal. Hey, there we go. Look at that. First super chat. All
awesome.
right. AVE Services. Great work, guys. Thank you. So, hey, cheers. All right, I'm going to pop mine. Willie's going to have his later. Oh, I got suds on my microphone. So this is a Rogue 6-hop IPA. For anyone interested, put that up there. 6.6% alcohol by volume, so I'm only going to have one, or else I will be slurring by the end of this chat.
That's all right, Chris. We're used to it.
Listen, it's 10:18 in the morning. I don't usually drink this early. Yeah, I should drink one for every $10 that we get. That's not happening. Hey, Randy, yeah, thank. There's another super chat from Randy. Thank you. Randy is the guy that just won the Amplify HD when we did the giveaway on the channel. So thank you for that, Randy. I appreciate it. Okay, so let's scroll back a little bit, though. I saw someone had some questions about the captive portal. Was that? I know Hugo said something about captive portal.
While we're looking for that.
Oh, hey, look at that. Wait, hang on. Big super chat.
Thanks, Jim.
Jim, thank you very much for the big super chat. I'm not sure what currency that is. NOK 50. Should we look that up?
I'll look it up real quick.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for the super chat. You guys are awesome. What are your thoughts on 3CX as a phone system versus FreePBX? So that's a very good question. That's a very big question. My thoughts on it are that I personally prefer FreePBX. That being said, of course, 3CX works fine. They wouldn't be in business if they didn't. They are, or at least used to be, Windows-based, so that's why I typically stayed away from them in the past. But I believe that they can be either Windows or Linux now, if I'm not mistaken. Jeffrey, another super chat. Thank you very much.
Jeffrey.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey. Appreciate the super chat. Eric,
Thanks, Eric.
Super chat. Thank you very much. Awesome. Thank you. Yes, by the way, selling Ubiquity products is a wonderful way to make money, especially on the side. And as Hugo says right there, rip Elastics. Elastics was, I believe, bought out by 3CX. And they got folded into the 3CX licensing model. Was it Elastics that went to 3CX? Is that right?
And I don't know, man.
Yeah, I think it was. Anyways, so they have a licensing model, right? And that's just where it sort of starts to turn me off, because licensing modeled products, a phone system is the type of thing that you set it up and you may not touch it again for, you touch it very rarely over the next 5 years until you have to replace it again. And so the licensing model doesn't make sense to me. There's some people that were with the company. Oh, thank you. Wow, look at that. Ted, $50 super chat. Holy moly. Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
Awesome. I think you just set the record on the super chats. That is amazing. Thank you so much. But I think the licensing model, I just don't like it because I don't like any model that charges customers money for services that aren't being used. Right? And maybe that's just me trying to be like an honest guy in the world of IT, and maybe I'm just naive that way or something. But honestly, like, that's what turns me off to 3CX is the model, the licensing. So,
yeah, and I will tell you that. Thank you, Brett.
Look at that. Thank you, Brett. Yeah, if you repeat your question, Brett, we'll answer it. Or if you guys have a question to put in a super chat, that will get it higher attention, of course.
Absolutely. Real quick, though, on that licensing, that's why I don't like the Cisco phone system model. I have to deal with Toshiba every day. I'm not a fan of this. Of the licensing, I would rather pay a company for support than licensing. So, and that's just me because I don't know. I've just been burned, and I just have a real salty taste about licensing fees. So I'm right there with you, Chris.
So, yes, I agree with you. We did have another super chat come in from Kevin. Thank you very much. Canadian, $10. Thank you very much, Kevin. Appreciate that. I think your money is worth more than U.S. money at this point. And we also had, let's see, we saw, where was Brett's question? So, Brett, who had super chatted, asked us, what do you think of an all-in-one NAS, PBX, pfSense own cloud solution? Wondering if it has a place in the market. So, there is a saying, not just in IT, but in general, that says don't put all of your eggs into one basket. Okay, and so that's what I sort of think about that type of solution. I am not a fan of having too many eggs in a single basket. Especially when it comes to the PBX. Like, I can understand that there's a need for multifunctional devices maybe at the firewall level where you've got like a firewall, perhaps intrusion detection or intrusion prevention, as well as perhaps content or virus scanning, content filtering, virus scanning, sort of all in one unit, kind of like the, what's that company? Not Brocade. What's the one that's the Barracuda? Kind of like Barracuda does, right? Where they have like all-in-one appliances. So I can see like if they're related enough, I can picture putting a lot of that stuff in a single appliance. But I wouldn't want to do like NAS, PBX, NVR, any of that stuff in one, because I think each of those functions is important enough that it should it should have its own dedicated hardware, or at least its own dedicated virtual machine.
And I don't know if you see this, Chris, but I have a lot of people ask me, well, how can I install all these third-party packages on an edge router? And I say, don't.
You can't.
And the reason I say that, I like the edge router to be my router. If I need a UTM, so one of my most popular deployments is an edge router as the router, and then I use an untangle box in transparent mode to do all that inline scanning and stuff like that. And then I'll even take it a step further and do my URL filtering in the cloud. That's one thing that I think is appropriate as a cloud-based service. So
yeah,
let the router be a router.
Let the router be a router, let the PBX be a PBX, and let the NAS be a NAS. Now, Randy just mentioned FreeNAS. I'm actually looking into potentially building my own FreeNAS box and doing a series on that. If you guys have interest in that, let me know. Because I think that's a pretty good platform for NAS. I'm sort of on the fence between just buying a Synology box and setting up my own FreeNAS. I think the Synology box is a lower sort of price point to get into, since it's like an appliance type situation, whereas the FreeNAS, you're going to want to actually build a PC for it.
I run a lot of Synology in the higher end stuff, Chris, and I love it. Sometimes if you have other administrators who need to have their hands on these things, Synology makes it very easy. So the data replication is very easy. I love FreeNAS too. I also have enterprise grade FreeNAS boxes. I don't know the whole backstory about why that new version that came out, why they end of lifed it so quickly. But if you look at some of my Instagram and Twitter, I had some pictures where I was running Windows Server 2016 in a container on FreeNAS Coral, and they killed it quickly. I didn't really go see why, but the latest stable release is wonderful. But there is a more of a learning curve. Synology is Kind of reminds me of when WatchGuard was really popular as a firewall. It has big icons and makes things really easy.
Yeah, I've set up Synology boxes. I haven't done a FreeNAS box, and I was impressed with how far Synology has come along. We missed a super chat, by the way.
Who was that?
Thank you very much, KUINB. Queenb. Thank you very much for the super chat. Of course, much appreciated. All right, so I think Synology has a lot of really great sort of pre-packaged features, but I think FreeNAS is going to be a little bit more towards like the open source side of the house, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you, Brett, for the super chat once again. And Unraid is greater than FreeNAS. Okay, I have not tried any of these. Like I said, I'm just getting into that side of it. It's expensive to get into NAS stuff because the hardware is pretty pricey. You know.
Yeah, and let me ask you this. I usually, Chris and I. We work really well together. But there is another channel out there called Unky Joe's Playhouse, and I don't know, Chris, if you've run across this guy.
No, I haven't.
He's got a whole series on the Expanology, and he goes really in-depth on that. So if you're interested in the Expanology, so that's the Synology firmware running on non-Synology hardware.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right, well, it's an interesting series, I guess, and people do seem to be interested in it. A lot of what drives, so sort of pulling the curtain back behind the YouTube stuff, a lot of what drives the content that we create, at least the content that I create, is where the views come from, right? So before I get into Synology or FreeNAS, I would probably do a little bit of research on the sort of SEO and like what people pay for keywords in Synology or FreeNAS, and whoever is higher is probably what I'll end up going with ultimately, but that's just a YouTube thing, I'm sure both platforms are great.
Well, and if it ever comes to the point where, this is my full-time gig, I will probably follow that same model, or I would follow that same model. But this is not, obviously, I totally am on board with you because you have to run a business. That's your livelihood, and so I'm 100% with you right there.
Yeah. And speaking of that, we are, so for everyone out there in the chat that's watching right now, we are trying to get Willie to the point where he doesn't have to have a full-time job. So let's help out with those super chats. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, so while we're talking about that, I did note a couple of questions, and I wanted to address this real quick. So Iron Mike, if you're out there, give us a thumbs up. But he asked, he is deploying Ubiquity, and he wanted to know, do you have to use all Ubiquity equipment? And the answer is absolutely no, you do not. You can mix and match equipment, and that is the huge advantage to vendors using standards. All these standards that exist. So, VLANs on a Cisco should work with VLANs on an Edge switch, should work with VLANs on a Juniper and a Brocade, and a Unify switch. So, you can mix and match. If you've got any questions, email one of us. Put it out there. More than happy to address that. But as long as your vendor is using standards, let's not get into things like in the Cisco world where they create these proprietary protocols. That's hogwash. So then there was another question, and if you were the one who asked it, give us a thumbs up. But they wanted to talk about the USG and multiple WAN IPs. And as of the latest current release, you cannot in the GUI put multiple WAN IPs. I just dealt with this with a customer down in Tennessee, and we actually created a second site on his cloud key, and then adopted another USG with an external IP in his block that he got from his provider. And so in his house, we were actually running two USGs because he doesn't want to mess with the JSON file. I am not a fan of the JSON file. I don't recommend the JSON file. And so right now, that is kind of the state of where it's at with the USG. If you want multiple IPs for now and you want to manage it, simply get an edge router.
Yeah. USG again. I get asked to revisit the USG versus edge router video on a fairly regular basis, and when they come out with this new, what's in beta right now, which is the notifications as well as the, all right, Iron Mike, $75 super
Mike.
chat. Thank you very much. That's awesome. You just set the record for super chat. Awesome. So when they come out with the next version, when it's a stable release, where they have the user-based radius support built in, and they have the notification stuff a little bit better, I'm going to be revisiting that topic. But I will do it at that point. Someone else, by the way, I think it was Hugo. It was either Hugo or Hector. Asked about. Oh, get my thing here. Here we go. Asked about the free PBX 13 Made Easy series, and when I'm going to be picking that up again. That is always on. It's always on the back burner. Unfortunately, is the problem. I have so much work that I'm doing during the day that I very rarely have time to make. It's hard to try to come up with 2 videos per week on YouTube, and something like the free PBX series is much more in depth as far as the instructional level of the video, so it's tougher to get to. And I'm also at a weird crossroads in that the next video in the series is on SIP trunking, and one of the things that I guess get asked all the time are who are my preferred SIP trunking vendors, and so I'm trying to think about how to approach that, because any SIP trunking vendor that I recommend, if I recommend someone and I make referral money off of it, then I feel like a shill for that company. And if I recommend someone and they're no good, yeah, go ahead, Willie. If I recommend someone and they're no good, then it's also a problem. Let me put this into, where is this? There we go. It's also a problem because I don't ever want to put my stamp of approval on something that I don't personally believe is a good product. So I'm sort of trying to get through all of that and figure out the best way to proceed. But I will get to it eventually, and hopefully I will get to it before before they come out with version 14 as a stable version. I've almost thought about just holding off on free PBX 13 series and restarting it with version 14 when it comes out. Tony, Super Chat, $25. Thank you very, very much. That's awesome. SIP trunking. Does anyone else hear 70s pimp music when saying that? I have never thought of it that way, but I think I don't think I'll be able to unsee that now. Possible firewall rules made easy video in the future. So that's an interesting one too. Now if you're looking at firewall rules, oh, Willie's back. Let me put his camera back on. If you're looking at firewall rules made easy, was it this? Was it that? Was it that? There it is. If you're looking at firewall rules made easy, are you talking about Edge Router? Are you talking about Unify? We've done videos on the Edge Router firewall rules. I know I have. I believe, Willie, you have too.
I have a whole series where I break it down so it's very easy to understand. I explain the terminology, the vernacular that Ubiquity uses, so you understand what the rules mean.
Yes. Carter, thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. And then on the Unify side, their firewall rules are very similar to the Edge Router rules, except they're still in beta on those firewall rules. And don't ask us about private internet access setup on the Unify.
Let me address that real quick. So, if you're going to do it, use an Edge Router. You could use the JSON file. I don't recommend the JSON file. I don't support it. If you're using the JSON file, call Chris. He may support it.
No, I do not.
Okay, so we're on the same page there. Use an Edge Router because the state of the USG it's just not ready for that. Now, if you go and you look at my videos, I've got a video where I do the Unify Remote User VPN. So if you've got a USG, you can use it to connect to your network. And it uses the radius that Chris was talking about that is in beta right now. And it has the notifications and things like that are built in. But that is beta, so you can follow along with that video. You can run it in production. I don't recommend it since it is beta. There's problems. Join the beta program, and you can read about the issues that they're ironing out with this software. But don't. There's a tutorial out there, Chris, and I don't know if you've seen it, where the guy actually does PPTP with the USG over to private internet access.
Really?
I also don't recommend that. Why would you use a VPN technology that is dead, that is not being improved and getting security updates to connect to a service where you want to be secure? You know, if you're worried about the NSA, the FBI, Interpol, all these other organizations spying on you, don't use PPTP.
Yeah.
Okay? Just don't do it.
Well, that makes sense. I love that people are answering each other's questions in the chat. That's my favorite thing about this community.
It is awesome.
Willie and I were talking about IT people in general a little bit earlier, and you know, the one thing about IT and the one thing that I hope comes across in our videos. All right, Mick Kesnack, $5. Outdoor campground Rocket M to multiple nanos with Unify AC mesh behind them. I want to add another Unify AC mesh within range of another. That'll work fine. If you go watch my mesh video, I did that already. It should work fine. You're gonna lose some speed though, because you're going Rocket M to nano to mesh to mesh. You're gonna lose some decent speed doing that.
And also, Chris, let's talk about this. That wireless uplink is not mesh. So if you're going to do what this person's asking, do use the mesh product. Don't try to do wireless uplink with like two non-mesh units. The mesh units are meant for this kind of stuff.
So you're saying that if you were going to deploy it, you would hardwire one of the mesh access points and then mesh that out to the other ones?
Yeah, the way that if you read about this, and it's funny because Ubiquity's having a contest right now to show the biggest, best mesh network, but I think I remember reading something where they don't recommend going past 3 hops in the chain.
I don't think it's recommended to do that any time.
Right.
Yeah, so watch that mesh video that I did. His second question, thank you for the second super chat here. Should I mesh the AC mesh to another nearby, accepting the through point hit, or add a nano in front of the AC mesh? As fewer hops as possible is going to be better.
Yes.
That's really all there is to it. Oh, Cecil, $25 super chat. Thank you so much for that. And no question.
Cecil.
You guys can ask questions in those super chats. They will take priority over other questions. Are we selling our server? Are we doing some paid support right now?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take a shower after this, Chris.
Yeah, really. Guys, I seriously appreciate all of the support.
Yes.
246 people watching right now. That
Thank
is
you.
absolutely unbelievable to me. So thank you guys. I love this community. I put out that video, and I try not to respond to trolls. In most cases, I just delete their comments, or I do. What? Go ahead.
So I actually have a Ubiquity employee who will we will not. He's actually watching us right now, so I will just say hi to all the Ubiquity employees who are watching this. He just pinged me, and he said that we are correct, and there's 25% loss per hop on the mesh product.
Yeah. And so Havoc writes, "Is mesh the future?" And so let me clarify that. Mesh is a technology that has its own use. Okay, so there's situations where you want to use mesh. There's situations where you want to use wireless bridging. There's situations where you want to use standard access points, and they're all different situations, right? So it's 3 different types of wireless technologies that are used that all have their own place in the world, depending on the situation you're dealing with.
Yeah, and I will tell you that where I'm using the mesh, I don't actually. Well, I shouldn't say this. In my latest 2 deployments, one that I'm actually getting ready to go climb on roofs here in just a week or so and deploy, which is a big outdoor mall. And then a motel that I did recently, I am not using the mesh function of those access points at all. They're all going to be hardwired, but I'm using them because they're replacing that old first-gen hardware, and they're outdoor rated. So that's why I'm using them, and I'm using a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, I've been happy with the mesh deployments. We actually did a deployment that not only used some mesh access points, but this was for a big cattle ranch out in Texas. And we did one of the coolest things I've done with wireless networking. This cattle ranch has doctors that get into trucks and drive around the cattle ranch wherever they need to be, right? So they had an interesting thing. $5 from Dan Murray. Thank you very much. Dan, are you related to Bill Murray? Let's keep that question on the side for a second, and I'll let Willie answer the Bullet M because I have not played with that one. But that is one piece of hardware. Unfortunately, Dan, I wish I could give you more value for your $5. I've not had one of those in my hands. I've had opportunity
to purchase them, and I've seen them used in a marina type environment, but unfortunately I have no real world experience. However, I may put that on the short list of products to buy.
Yeah. So in this cattle ranch that we were doing, and thank you also, prefer hop or Unify hop with AirMax. We'll keep that question on the side too. We'll answer that in just a minute. We set up one of the 13 dBi omnidirectional antennas at the main location. And then in each truck, we put one of the 10 dBi omnidirectional antennas with an inverter, so that the antenna was capturing the signal from the main antenna no matter where those trucks drove around the property. And so the people had their laptops in the truck hardwired into that into the 10 dB antenna. So we set it up so basically they can drive around anywhere they want around the property and still have internet. And that was it was a huge property, so that actually was really cool.
That is pretty cool.
So let's see, we had a question: prefer a hop with Unify or hop with AirMax? So again, it depends on the situation, right? So there are times when a Unify wireless uplink to a mesh AP is going to be great, and there's times when you would want a point-to-point wireless bridge in order to shoot a stronger signal further, right? So it depends case by case. So we talked about Meraki a little bit earlier, Jace, if you go back to that. But basically, we think Meraki's fine. It's just super expensive. That's sort of the nutshell on Meraki.
And I have decided, Chris, I am going to do some videos. They will not be as in-depth as my Ubiquity videos. You can call me a fanboy, you can call me whatever. I do have some sort of an allegiance, some sort of weird connection to Ubiquity. So they will not be as in-depth as my Ubiquity and Unify videos, but I will touch on them a little bit.
Okay. Good stuff, good stuff. So what else we got going on? Well, I mean, we're just answering questions. I was going to say we could set up some of this hardware, but I'm happy to sit here and keep answering questions for people.
Hector is talking about Ether Magic, and if you haven't seen that yet, that is Ubiquity's Powerline networking solution. It's currently available only in the beta store for U.S. customers, and they are saying that you can do 1,200 megabits, so roughly 1.2 gigabits, point to multi-point. So you have one switch that plugs into your wall outlet, and it can connect to 32 endpoints, and then you can chain up to 10 of the switches, so you can have 320 connected endpoints. So we'll have to see how it works out. I went to buy some, and they were all sold out, so I've got to wait for the next batch. They're kind of pricey too.
Are we allowed to show beta store stuff on live stream?
I don't, and I will tell you, a lot of people ask me, yes, I'm in the beta program, but I don't. I always email Ubiquity, and I get something in writing saying it's okay for me to do that before I put it out on the internet.
Yeah. So I won't show it then, but I don't buy a ton of stuff from the beta store. I usually wait until it's readily available. The problem with Ubiquity is they come out with products and then it's not available like for 6 months or so. We did get a super chat from Eugene Vinar. Greetings from the unofficial UBNT Discord channel. Oh, Eugene, I saw you on Reddit advertising your Discord channel. A bunch of us are watching. Join us we'll give you a little plug here. Join us at discordapp.com/invite/4EUGGBZ. Willie, love the video of you drowning the Mesh Pro.
There is a video, and it's not public, but I took a Mesh Pro access point when they were available beta, and I put it in my shower for a very long time, and I filmed it to see if it was going to burn my house down.
That's funny. Yeah, I didn't see that video. So you didn't make it public? That would have been a good video for your channel.
Yeah, not public. And then the Ubiquity employee did ping me and said that he would not put anything out there unless someone has signed the beta agreement just to be safe. And so that's exactly what I was just saying. I always get it in writing before I put anything that is in beta out on the internet, because I do not want to put my beta status in some sort of legal whatever you want to call it. I don't want to get in trouble, and I want to continue to be very active in the Ubiquity community. So
Willie's a straight shooter, folks, just so you know. Me, I'm not so much. All right. What cat cable do you prefer when deploying a new setup? Do you notice speed difference in the use with UTP/FTP Cat5e66A cable? Probably not going to notice too much difference in those different cables unless you're actually going to be utilizing the cable to its full extent. And then as far as what cable to use, that's going to, again, depend completely on the situation. If I'm installing a brand new network for a bunch of people that their main job is video editing, I'm going to put in the absolute best cable that I can put in, the best and fastest cable and the best and fastest switches that I can put in. If it's a lawyer's office that just has 5 people that need to, surf the internet, then absolutely not. We don't need to go Cat 6, on something like that. So, Polly, 5, is that euros? I guess that's euros, right? I'm not up on my world currency, but would like to give more, but can't because of Chris. Well, I will take the blame for that. After USG Pro, US16XG, US48, US48 750 watt, and 6 times AP lights, and 7 by UVC G3. Ubiquity has all of my money. Yeah, well, listen, they would have all of your money and half of your mortgage if you were doing Meraki or Ruckus equipment, so be thankful for that.
Hey, Cecil. Cecil just asked a question about private internet access on the Edge router. Is there a video for Open VPN on pfSense? Also, yes, Chris does have a video where one of his subs did that. And then if you also head over to Lawrence Tech Services, he does a lot with pfSense as well.
Yeah, another good channel out there. I forget the name of the actual channel. Is it Lawrence Tech Services? Is that the name of the channel?
I think so. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I like those guys.
Let's see. It is.
Yeah, and just while Willie's looking that up, Hector just wrote, that the best possible cable your client can afford. There's not much price difference these days between Cat 5e and Cat 6. So if you're buying bulk cable, you might as well just get Cat 6.
Yes, and you should get the Cat 6 ends too that have the load bar. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yep.
And actually, you know what? Let me. I have something. Hold on.
All right. Willie has left me alone.
Hold on.
Damn it, Willie. Look at him ditching the stream. He takes all that super chat money and goes.
So what I'm going to show you is not beta. I'm not violating any sort of anything here. Holy cow. Chris, I picked this up. I was thinking about you the other day. I picked up Journey's Greatest Hits for $1.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
What I have... I don't know if you can see this. Can you see that, Chris?
No.
All right, so if you can see this, this is actually Unify cable.
Oh,
so
yeah, now I can see it. Hold it a little bit closer. There you go.
All right, so this is Cat 6. This is Ubiquity's Cat 6, and if you've ever worked with me, you know that everything from the cabling to the RJ45s, I use Ubiquity so that there is no question when it comes to support. And this is a great cable. I ran some for my son's gaming PC. Comes in 1,000-foot spools, and it's got the let me see. I don't know if I can get this close enough.
Probably not. You probably won't be able to focus on it with the webcam either.
Yeah, but it's got the load bar, and it's got I don't know if it's a Kevlar rip cord that's in there, but it's pretty good stuff, and it's really inexpensive to do assurance, because if I was Ubiquity and I put in my manual, if you look at some of the Air Max stuff, they tell you to use the tough cable. with the tough connectors.
Mm-hmm.
If I was Ubiquity, for as inexpensively as I sell my devices, when I had some sort of a warranty claim, I would ask them if they were using the tough cable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really not that expensive when you look at it.
Yeah. So a couple super chats went by. Let me grab these real quick. From Rogue Eric, $10. Rogue, look at that, like my Rogue beer. My request is to please do a Networking for Noobs series. I've got all Unify gear and will never go back, but sometimes I get lost in the technology and concepts in your videos since I'm not an IT guy. That is a really great point. Oftentimes, I know I'm guilty of this, I will make videos and not quite explain everything at the noob level. The reason for that, though, is that you have to strike a fine balance, right? So there's a lot of people on the channel that if I started, spelling everything out for noobs, then it's like, oh, you're making the videos too basic. And then if I go the other direction, I'm making them too, advanced. So there's a fine balance to find there, but we will certainly be doing that. And I don't know if you guys can see behind me here, but I now have a whiteboard. So I will be utilizing this whiteboard for a new series, hopefully. Now I'm committing myself to it since I'm making it public. But I'm doing a new series soon that will be basically home networking basics. So the start to finish of everything that you need to know about home networking. Not necessarily, Ubiquity related, though I'm sure I will use Ubiquity equipment because that's mostly what I have in my home network. And so that will be coming soon too. But I want to explain all of the concepts like, what's a modem versus a router? What is DHCP for? What is the IP subnet subnets that you should be using? That sort of stuff. So for people that are looking to get into home networking or just make their own home networks better, that's going to be the series for them. Willie, did you want to say something?
Yeah, so I see somebody said that they get Cat 7 and 1,000-foot boxes for $58 a box, so that's probably not copper cable. It's probably, aluminum. And I just ran into somebody who couldn't figure out why their Unify switch would reboot every time they plugged a camera in, and it's because they were using really cheap Cat 7 cable. So keep that in mind. When you want to use junk cable, keep that in mind. You get what you pay for sometimes.
All right, another super chat from Craig Miles, $10. Just a big thanks to you both. I now have a PB Exact 15 extension USG with 4 VLANs, 2x 24 250 watt, all possible due to your videos. Excellent. Glad to hear that.
Thanks, Craig.
Yeah.
Somebody else said, let's see. They asked about, so this Cat 6, this is indoor rated cable. If you need outdoor rated cable, you're going to want to go with the tough cable, either the Pro or the carrier grade. Most of the time when I deal with the carrier grade, it's actually going up a tower. Otherwise, I just use the Pro, and that's what's on the outside of my buildings, cameras, access points, AirMax devices, the whole bit. And so I don't believe that this is UV rated either. I could be wrong. And maybe that Ubiquity employee who is listening to us and keeps pinging me can tell me whether this is UV rated.
Probably the indoor stuff, I would imagine, is not.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Outdoor stuff, though. Oh, someone just said Keystone Connectors are a very easy way for residential. I love Keystone Connectors. They're so easy. I put them all... Like, I've got, like, bags of them sitting here, and I order them from Monoprice. The Monoprice Keystone jacks, and I order them like 10 at a time because I'm always going through them. They are not UV stabilized according to Hector here.
Hey Chris, we're talking about the networking basics.
Yeah.
And I'm actually working on a similar concept. And a few months ago, I started I have a video called "What's a Network," and I just spent like 4 minutes, just trying to explain the concept of what is a network because. I think if we're going to go back to the basics, we really need to go back to the basics, and I definitely think I don't want you guys to think that Chris and I are like copying each other. Just some of these things we think, we're very like-minded, and so I want to know too if you want to see a basics because I may look at Chris and I may go a different direction but still be basic, so let us know what you're thinking.
Yeah, I think a lot of the audience that we have here are probably not too interested in the basics. Maybe some people, but a lot of the people that are our subscribers are people that are in the IT industry or at least very into this type of networking and the phone system stuff, whatnot.
Right. Iron Mike, did Iron Mike send another? Oh, that was his original one. Never mind.
Building a home network. Yes. Building a home network there's a lot to learn there. I mean, that's a good topic for sure. Any advice on starting a new UBNT install business? So the best advice that I could give you for starting a new UBNT business, because the problem with starting the new business, there's two sides to it. There's the sales side and there's the actual implementation side of that business, right? The sales side is going to be totally up to you, right? So sales was very tough for me when I was starting out. Luckily, this YouTube channel thing started taking off, and that's where most of my sales come from, right? So I don't have to go out door to door and do sales because people come to me by virtue of the YouTube channel, which is amazing. It's wonderful. But on the other side of that, right, the technology, know your shit. All right, I can't stress any more than that. It's going to be a learning experience when you're first starting out. So my suggestion would be to lower your labor rate in the beginning as you're learning, right? So basically try to get as much business as you possibly can so that you learn. There's networks and phone systems that I installed 2 years ago that I would do differently if I were installing them today. Okay, and that's just straight up from learning experience. So absolutely, it's a great business to be in, but you really have to know what you're doing as far as the networking side goes. Willie, anything to add to that?
I agree. Pick a product, get super awesome at it. So when I got into Ubiquity, I first got into it. If you go out and you look at my channel, there's a video called M900 live deployment or something like that. That was my first ever Ubiquity deployment, and it's an M900 megahertz bridge, and it goes through almost a mile of trees to connect two buildings.
I remember that video that you did.
Yeah, and so that was the first time I'd heard of Ubiquity. I was Cisco certified up to my nostrils when I first got into Ubiquity, and I started looking at Ubiquity, and I'm going, Ubiquity just makes sense. I can buy 10 of these edge switches for the same price as one 3750, so I could have a switch go bad once a year and still be ahead, so what I did was I decided to dedicate myself at that time to really learning Ubiquity and knowing it inside and out. And I will tell you, I'm not even 30% of the way there. I read constantly. I have the lab. There is going to be a lab video because I know you guys all want to see it. But my wife gives me a hard time about how much equipment is in my lab. But I have to have it because that's how I learn.
I want to show you something. Keep talking. I want to show you something though. Go ahead.
Well, and that's the thing about these edge routers. You can get an edge router X. You can catch it on Amazon if you use my affiliate link. You can get it for like $49, and that edge router opens up a whole new world to you to be able to learn Edge OS and the things that it can do. It just spend $49 and get into it. I mean,
there's my Ubiquity box. Access points, nano stations, nano beams, mesh access point. Look at this. You talk about the junk that you can start accumulating when you start getting into Ubiquity. The stuff is so cost effective. Look, here's a UVC camera. Edge router light down there.
The
stuff is so cost effective, you just start gathering it up and you end up having a massive collection. I've got literally a bin that says Ubiquity equipment. Because this is all the extra stuff that I use in my videos and whatnot.
I'm going to try to move my webcam here so you can see the rack that sits behind my desk. And it's not completed yet. I've got 3 of these racks that are in my lab, I guess, since we're showing it off here. Let me see if I got to get this twist tie undone.
See if I can make Willie a little bit bigger here.
We can build enterprise networks, but I can't work a damn twist tie. Hold on there. All right. What can you see? So this is a, I don't know if this is any good. This is a partial rack. Can you see? You see that, Chris?
Yeah, I can see it. I see an XG. I see a 16. Was that a 16?
So up here at the top,
a USB Pro, Edge Router 8, yeah, ER8,
and then the Unify UAS server, which everybody's been asking about. I don't have permission to do anything with that yet since it's beta. Yeah, so here's the 10 gig XG switch. Then below it,
you showed it on camera. You just got kicked out of the beta program.
Right, right. Well, I actually have permission to show pictures of it. Brandon, that runs Unify, did give me permission to show pictures, but I'm not talking any details yet.
Yeah.
So then there's the Switch 16 XG. This is the 10 gig switch. Then there's an Edge Switch 16 150. Then here is my USG Pro. Then below this is the Edge Router Infinity, which this is the 10 gig Edge Router. And then below this is the Edge Router 8, the non-SFP version. So this is just one rack. Like I said, I've got 3 of these. And in the other room, I have a ludicrous setup. That's what my wife calls it, ludicrous. That is literally just shelves full of equipment and boxes, and it's all Ubiquity equipment, minus the $10 to $11 router that I have.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I think I might have screwed up the. OBS. Nope, I got it. There we go. Hang on a second. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Rink. All right, there we go. Okay. Wonderful. Well, someone said in the comments, if you don't have a big box of old Ubiquity equipment, you're doing something wrong. So I think they are absolutely right. And that's just one of... I've got another similar size box that just has old phones as well. So.
Yeah, and were there any good comments in there? I didn't. I kind of missed it a little bit, Chris.
No, I didn't. I didn't see either. I was looking at your terrible cable management.
My cable management on this little rack back here. You know what? If you guys want to put some more super chats down there to help me afford some cable management.
You know what I want to know is, how come you get all the cool stuff, man? I'm in the Ubiquity beta program. They don't send me shit.
Well, I got to buy everything.
You bought that Edge Router Infinity?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. They don't send me anything, man. I buy everything. The only thing that they've sent me. Let's see. When they first came out with the UAP-AC line, they sent me a UAP-AC Lite and a UAP-AC LR. But other than that, Ubiquity has not sent me a single thing. Believe it or not, I'm being straight up about that.
So, and one thing that I am going to start doing in my videos is at the beginning of the video, if I'm showing off a product, I am going to let people know whether it was given to me or whether I bought it or what, and that way. And I hear my instant messenger dinging again here. Let's see. So the Ubiquity employee that is watching our live cast noticed somebody talk about the US 48 750 watt crashes every time I connect 10 gig to, and wants me to tell that user, and Polyvalo, he says you should go to help.ubnt.com and submit a support ticket for the issue if you can.
Help.ubnt.com support ticket. There you go.
I have not played with the I have an in-wall, but I don't have it deployed yet.
Yeah, I did a video on the original in-wall that they came out with a long time ago, but I haven't played with the new one either. I would certainly do videos on it if I had a need for it. I have not. Most of the videos that I do are because I actually have the stuff coming through because of a client. And so I haven't had a client that has requested anything like the in-wall in quite some time. There you go. Cable Management Fund. Thank you, Eugene, for the super chat. Appreciate that. Chris, rack videos. Great. Would recommend looking at wall mountable vertical data rack. So I do have, not necessarily wall mountable, but I actually have one, my phone system, you can't really see it. Maybe I can make the camera come down a little bit. So if you see, my phone system's actually mounted under my desk right here, and that's a like wall / under cabinet vertical mount 1U bracket. So I do use, like the vertical racks. I just don't use them very often. But I've even got a spare in my closet in case I need it for anything. All right, cool. So what is the largest number of clients you have deployed in a Unify deployment? So I just did one. If you guys, probably the largest one that I did was that video, Unify video I did a while back where I had the XGs. I had 3 sets of XGs, and each of the XGs was a stack that had 2 48-port Unify switches, as well as a USG Pro, and I think it was like 28 access points. That's the largest one that I've done, and it was for a 250-room retirement home.
So real world, I have a health club that we manage, and I want to say there's 15 UAPs and about 500 users at any given time. That's my biggest day to day. So, yeah, and I just did a video. I'm looking into getting into some of the more higher end stuff. One of my amazing subscribers just bought me the UAP AC HD. I know Willie just did a video on this as well. This access point is pretty amazing as far as what it can do above and beyond the UAP AC Pro, and most of it has to do with how it processes the bandwidth and the data streams that are coming through it. So look for that video coming next week, and I will talk about MIMO, and I will go into in-depth on what MIMO is and what the differences are between MIMO in the UAP AC HD and the UAP AC Pro. Now, if we want to talk about total Ubiquity deployment, in my day job, I only have 2 closets that aren't completely Ubiquity. So we're talking about we're talking about a few dozen locations where all of the switches have gone either Unify switch or Edge switch. All the access points are Ubiquity. All the cameras are Ubiquity cameras. When I tell you I'm all in with Ubiquity, I'm not just giving it lip service. I'm slowly but surely converting everything to Ubiquity. And even a couple of the new core switches are the 10 gig Edge switch. So it's not just something that I do on YouTube. I live this every day.
I think that you and I are 2 of Ubiquity's best salespeople.
I hope so.
I think that's what it boils down to. So we did get a super chat. So Dai Shook, thank you very much for the $5 super chat. Can either of you do a video on setting up Unify to create a separate IoT, which is Internet of Things, network? So the Corp LAN can see IoT, but not the other way around. I think, Will, you just did an IoT video. Did you include firewall rules in there?
Well, it was for the Edge router. This is USG, right?
It just says, yeah, Unify.
Setting up Unify. So the USG Unify firewall rules, they're still working on massaging those a little bit to make them as easy as the Edge router rules. So at this time, I may not be creating that video just because I wouldn't want to confuse you. Like we could do it on an Edge router. We could actually do it live and do it lickety split, but doing it on the USG and Unify requires a little bit more work if the rules, if it's even exposed to allow us to create those rules.
Yeah. Okay, so great question, and question that I get all of the time on mixing and matching equipment. Do I have to get the Unify router if my network is a TP-Link modem for the Unify switch and AP Pro? The answer is absolutely not. You can have any modem or router that a modem that comes from your internet provider, and then some sort of firewall, any sort of firewall, and you can utilize Unify access points in that network. There's no problem there. All you need is a Unify controller and a Unify access point, and you can get it all set up and running. And in fact, you don't even need the Unify controller. You can set up the access point with the Unify app on your phone. And I don't think you need the controller for that. And you don't really only need the controller if you're having it, do regular updates, and maybe if you have a captive portal or something. But I do get a lot of requests for that kind of thing. So very important to note that you can absolutely mix and match technologies. Once you start getting more advanced, however, it becomes easier to work with if you're standardized on a single manufacturer, because all of the parts speak to each other very nicely. So for instance, in a full Unify deployment, if you're doing VLANs and stuff like that, it's going to be a lot easier to work with if everything is Unify. Or if you've got, edge switches and edge routers, basically keep on the same product lines. When you start mixing and matching product lines, that's where you start running into weird stuff. But like, for instance, I've done a PBX deployment where all the switches were Unify or edge switches, and the routers were Cisco, and the VLANs worked fine. So it's, it will work together. It's just, it's easier if it's the same manufacturer. Would you agree?
I totally agree. Somebody else said we need advanced Unify videos. So maybe Chris and I can collaborate on that. We are doing a lot more collaboration these days. Mostly venting to each other about stubbing our toes, things like that. But somebody earlier said that every time Chris and I say the name Ubiquity, that we're getting paid for it. We are not getting paid to talk about Ubiquity. Right, Ubiquity is like Beetlejuice, right?
Let's rack it up.
But I do have a question for that Ubiquity employee that's out there. Do you normally watch us, or are you watching us to see what kind of content we're putting out and ping me to straighten things out? So Ubiquity employee, you know who you are. I'm not going to say your name on the air. Please ping me and let me know if you are policing this live stream and if you were told to do that.
Interesting. I see. The funny thing is, like, I find it hard to believe that, like, Ubiquity is a very big company, so I know that they do. I know that they are aware of us, but I find it very difficult to believe that they would actually send someone to keep an eye on a live chat like this. And I mean, listen, if they were on top of their stuff marketing-wise, that would probably be a good idea to do that, because they could solicit feedback on what the community's doing. And the brief experiences that I have had with their CEO, he seemed very interested in hearing about where they are falling short on things, which I think was very impressive. I was very impressed with that when I in the brief time that I've talked with him. And so I wouldn't put it past them to do that, but I also, I don't know, I feel like we're not exactly that big of a of a deal as far, like, compared to Ubiquity. I mean, they're a multi-billion-dollar company. Why are they looking at Willie and Chris Sherwood doing a live stream on Memorial Day?
Right. Though I will tell you, I am a little jealous that you got to talk to Robert Pera. He probably doesn't even know who I am. I bet
you're wrong. I bet you're wrong, because, like I said, I bet he does know. I bet he is aware of you.
Well, that'd be all right. If he is listening, I would challenge him. He's a basketball player. I would challenge him to a charity game of horse right now.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good idea. I'm sure he's got plenty of time for that.
And the Ubiquity employee said he was not told to follow this live stream, so I do appreciate that. I'm just trying to figure out where they were sitting with that. And interestingly enough, I got to tell you about some of the great things that we're doing with. Somebody says that he's sure that Ubiquity doesn't need any help. Not sure what that means, but some of the great things we're doing with Ubiquity cameras is we've got some of these way out in the middle of nowhere, and we've got Verizon 4G hotspots, and so we have a Ubiquity NVR in the box with a G3 camera, and we're using the Ubiquity cloud service, the video.ubnt.com, to retrieve videos of people dumping trash, tires specifically. So
interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to adjust our chat to make it a little bit more user friendly while we're going here. I'm still learning OBS, guys, so bear with me. All right, that looks a little bit better. All right, cool. I think you guys are 1 and 2 for UBNT videos. Actually, Sean, I think you're right. I don't think there's a ton of people that are putting out UBNT content, though I know there's a lot more coming. Actually, you know what? I will probably take that away because there is a guy who followed me a long time ago. If you guys aren't aware of him, his name is Marzbar, Marzbar. His name is Alex. He's based out of the UK. And he originally hit me up just with some really nice comments about, hey, man, I really like your videos. I love the stuff you're doing on Unify. And Alex is an amazing kid, man. I think he's like 23. And yes, Ben Pin is another. That's correct. Well, Ben Pin's another. We can talk about him.
Should talk about.
No,
Ben.
let's not talk about Ben Pin.
Okay.
So Alex is a really, really great he has so much positive energy that he's really refreshing to watch on YouTube. Marzbar is 19. Is he really only 19? Oh, I thought he was older than that. But anyways, he's coming from a 40-year-old guy. Like, I'm twice his age, but I find his videos really super fun because of his positive energy. And like, you put out that level of positive energy like I try to do on my videos. I'm not nearly as successful as Marzbar is as putting out positive energy on the videos, but he's got so much energy and so much enthusiasm for the work that he does and the vlogs that he puts out, and he's very into Ubiquity gear. He also runs a small wireless ISP, and I think that's how he found me, as he was watching our videos. And yeah, but anyways, just shout out to Marzbar, my friend from across the pond. Yeah, really good channel. So I think he is probably the #1 Ubiquity video guy, because he's put out some Ubiquity videos and he's got like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, as opposed to me with my 28 and you with your 10.
Thanks, Chris, for making me feel so inadequate today.
Listen, you are growing at a crazy rate. You've got a especially considering that you're holding down a full-time job while putting out videos and growing the channel. You're doing really well, man. Don't sell yourself short.
I appreciate that. I put in, between 40 and 60 hours at the day job, and then I do, 20 to 30 hours of consulting a week, and, I do some work for you. I'm do most of my consulting after the kids go to sleep, but I am trying to instill in my children that nothing is free and nobody is going to give you a handout, and you need to, there's nothing wrong with sweat equity. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like I said, I told my wife when I started in this job that, like, just be aware that I'm going to be working harder on my own business than I've ever worked before. It's going to be a lot of long hours, and it absolutely is. I put out a video a long time ago called Tips for IT Consulting, and really a lot of what it boils down to, though, is just straight up hard work and being able to figure out where the most benefit is coming from, and then allocate a larger percentage of your work time towards that end, right? And that's sort of the figuring it all out as you go forward. For anyone who is interested in doing IT consulting, either on the side, which I would absolutely recommend, or as a full-time position, those are the type of questions that we're happy to answer as well.
And let me address some things with the Ubiquity G3 cameras real quick. I see some chatter going on about those. Also, I did jump into the Discord channel, so I'll be checking that out. But I'm using the G3 bullets. I do have the IR extender on, although we have now added street lights to it, just because we want us to be able to see the vehicles' colors and things like that. And then the G3 bullets that I'm using currently are still the passive PoE, but I believe that Ubiquity has made a statement, and Ubiquity employee Anonymous out there, correct me if I'm wrong, but they are moving towards standard PoE for most of the equipment.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, the Dome camera will already do standard PoE, but we're using the G3s. We pay government rate for this Verizon 4G hotspot. I believe it's $36 a month per device. You do get unlimited data, but once you hit that 22 gig limit, they do prioritize you. So that is why we put an NVR in each box, so that we could knock down the amount of data that we're sending out and get that high def video that we need to read license plates and see people's faces and stuff like that. We do have a camera. I haven't seen it yet, but apparently there is a woman who likes to go out in front of one of these cameras, take her clothes off, and jump around. I have not personally seen that, but the guy who manages the camera apparently says that that's a thing. I'm not looking. Yeah, I'm not looking for it. But anyway, so
Sure you're not.
You know, it's working out really well so far, and you would just not believe when people are out on a country road the things that they think that they can get away with. It absolutely blows my mind.
So a couple of new super chats came in. Thank you guys so much. Brett Lovell, super chat, asks, what changes are in the free PBX that's in beta? So that's a really, really great question. First and foremost, they have optimized the free PBX 14 code. And most of the changes in free PBX 14 are back-end changes. They have optimized it. They actually hired a guy, specifically a consultant, to come in and work with them for a period of time, only doing nothing other than optimizing the free PBX code. When I was at Astrocon last year, Andrew Nagy. Anyways, sorry if I'm butchering your name, Andrew. He's one of the head free PBX developers, and he did a demonstration on the screen of free PBX 13 versus free PBX 14. He put them up side by side and then ran through a number of different commands to process in both of those platforms, and free PBX 14 blew the doors off of free PBX 13 in terms of efficiency. The other thing that I've seen, I saw a demo of the new chat functionality that is in Zulu, which is their desktop chat and desktop, like it's like a web phone, it's desktop chat, it's screen pops into CRM applications, stuff like that. Their new Zulu chat functionality is amazing. It's like you can create groups of people within your organization to have chats with. You can chat individual people, obviously, and it sort of will notify you if someone mentions you in a chat, like they've gone to the next level with the built-in free PBX chat. I think that is going to, free PBX 14 is going to revolutionize the way that free PBX has been working. Okay.
Hey, can I address this other question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, it is Chris Larson. Great job, guys. My question is, setting 5 gig Wi-Fi power to high can actually cause slower speeds in a smaller 2-room home. Okay. I'm not sure which mic is recording, but can you hear me now?
Eesh. That was uncalled for.
So when you have a client that is close to an access point and these things are screaming at each other, you can get really bad results out of having radios just screaming on blast. You know, you should appropriately set the channels. Deploying a Wi-Fi network is a little bit of art and science. And you should not just randomly throw access points where you believe they should go. You should do a site survey, use special software, and really get into it and understand the RF behind it. Now, I don't go into a lot of this great detail, and neither does Chris, in the channel, but we certainly could, and we could talk about some of these design factors that are out there. You know, do you have block walls? Do you have what kind of windows do you have? What's the composition of your roof? I mean, there's all kinds of things that we can get into that talk about signal attenuation. So I don't know, Chris, maybe that would make a good series, how to design your Wi-Fi network. But it's
absolutely make a good series. I think one of the features of Unify that's the most underused features is the map functionality, right? Where you can put a access point onto a map, either Google Earth or an actual like PDF map that you've uploaded, and it will, and then you scale it to the appropriate size, and it shows you the coverage area of the access points. From there, you have to do your own interpretation as far as wall penetration and seeing like that. But you know what I mean? I read something recently, and maybe you would agree with this, Willie, but I found it to be a really good general rule of thumb for Wi-Fi access point placement. And it was to think about your wireless access point as if it were a light shining out. And you're going to get a lot less light coverage if you put that access point next to a wall as opposed to if you put it in the center of a room. Right? So if you kind of think about it, it's very simple to think about it in those terms, but when you're talking about access point placement, that's not a bad way to think of it. Right? You want the light emanating from that access point to stretch as far and cover as much as possible. And so if you tuck it away in a corner somewhere, you're not going to get nearly the coverage. So I thought that was a good way of just thinking about it in a very basic sense.
I don't disagree with that. And this is another one of those topics where, we can all get together and we can talk about the physics and we can talk about best practices and stuff like that. Sometimes, best practices don't work out, but this is a topic where I think if you stuck 100 of us in a room, you get 100 different ways how to design your Wi-Fi network, and they may all work.
No, you're absolutely right. Like I said, it's the old joke of how many IT guys does it take to change a light bulb. It takes one guy to actually change the light bulb, and it takes 10 guys to tell you how they would have done it differently.
Right.
So.
And Eric said, perhaps a video field trip to your next deployment showing how you do site surveys. The outdoor mall that I'm going to be doing, there is going to be a lot of video on my channel about that deployment.
Oh, good. Looking forward to that. And we did miss a super chat, so I wanted to get to it. So Carlos Ruby, thank you for your super chat. He just says, read below. Okay. So below, he says, I'm opening a small IT firm and Dominican Republic. I assume he means in the Dominican Republic. Would you help me from the U.S. if I need help from over there and providing good prices as well? So good prices is going to be subjective, of course. That's your opinion, whether what we charge is good price or not. We charge what we charge. I don't work with customers that are not U.S. based.
And I love every
Willie does. Okay, so the reason that I don't work with customers that are U.S. based, that are not U.S. based, is strictly a matter of, number one, I've got enough business in the U.S., and number two, when it comes to the liability and the laws surrounding working with international customers, like for instance, if I did $1,000 worth of work for someone internationally and they just decided not to pay me, I have very little recourse to collect on that money. And in business, unfortunately, it is a fact of life that there will be customers that do not want to pay you for any reason, right? So, I had a guy that I did phone system work for. I set up, I did about $900-something worth of phone system setup work for this guy, and he just straight up didn't pay me. And, when I kept bugging him and trying to collect on the money, and he just eventually wrote me back and said, listen, I just don't have it, so sorry. Yeah,
and speaking of bad clients, I've thrown this around a couple times. I've mentioned it to Chris and anybody else who may be a consultant out there that watches this. If we had a list where we could all keep track of those types of customers, would you be interested in participating? It wouldn't be something that would be open to the public, and there would be no comments in there, but it would be something that would be tightly held. We've tossed that around a little bit, and I will tell you that Chris and I, we talk a lot, and if I get somebody who burns me, he knows. And if he gets somebody who burns him, I know. And so we know if those people come to us, because we will often hear this, well, I tried to talk to Chris, or blah, 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 or hey, I tried to talk to Willie, and blah, blah, blah. So people will bounce back and forth between us trying to find, it's like the old, when your kids are growing up and dad tells them no, then they go to mom. Chris, are you the mom or the dad?
I'm going to say the dad.
I'll be the dad too. So we'll be a modern couple.
Okay.
So, people will bounce back and forth between us trying to find the weak link. And so just know if you're out there and you're trying to get one over on one of us and you're bouncing back and forth, that we're watching for that. And if other people want to get in on that, I'd be more than happy to share that information.
Yeah, I would be less likely to publish that type of information just because I don't want to, libel
wouldn't
anyone.
Be published.
But
yeah, wouldn't be published, but we could talk about it, figure out how we could work it.
Yeah.
There's blacklists all over the place, man.
Yeah. Oh, someone asked about the ammo can, so you're pulling out the ammo can. He has actual ammo in there. Willie is a member of a right-wing militia group. I don't know if you guys knew this or not.
Not true. Not true. So the first thing that's in the ammo can is some ideal Cat 5 RJ45 ends. And then there are 2 boxes of the Ubiquity Tough Connectors. I use these exclusively for all of my outdoor installations with my Tough cable. I have a pair of ideal crimpers that may be as old as I am. Klein Tools wire strippers. Some more RJ45 ends. Plastic bag for when I'm hyperventilating and I need to breathe. Steel wire. I did a video on this little guy. This thing is an absolute life saver when you want to strip cable, and the name of this thing is like 80 syllables long. I don't even remember what that is.
I bought one of those because of your video.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then here is a Coax Crimper. Unfortunately, I did not get the pressure crimper. Lesson learned. So the next time I have to do coax, I will get a different one of those. There's a soldering iron in here, an assortment of batteries. Tone probe that has literally been with me for almost 2 decades. And you can see that it needs a little bit of repair. Pocket knife. Punch down tool. That has a 66 blade and a 110 blade.
Keep those super chats coming, guys. Keep those super chats coming, guys, if you want to know what else Willie has in other boxes as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll open all boxes. It'll be
while you're going through there. So we did get a super chat, 50 euros. And I'm going to butcher this name, but I will attempt it, from Helmwig Wormbrand Stupak. Tell me how I did. Is that like Stupak Shakur? Okay, so Helmwig asks, can I collect emails with the guest portal? So this is a very good question. The answer is, I don't actually know. Well, the answer is, let's put it this way. You could collect emails with a guest portal. Can you collect emails with the default tools that Ubiquity gives you in their Unify controller? I don't think so. One thing that you can do, though, I believe you can enable Facebook and or Google Plus authentication through the portal, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that a new feature?
Yeah, you can do the social media.
But I don't know whether it tracks that or not.
I will tell you that there is a guy on the Ubiquity community. So if you go over to community.ubnt.com, sign up, go over to Unify, and tag the user Sleuthmaster. And I'm going to put that down here, Slofmaster, right? This guy knows the Unify API like the back of his hand. And so if anybody can help you with any of that custom stuff, tag Sleuthmaster.
Yeah. So so you guys saw, I don't know if anyone watched the the video that I did on the captive portal. I did run across some problems with the captive portal. I'm not a big fan of captive portals in general. I don't like using them. I was very impressed with that Ruckus one, but I don't know if it's a Ruckus captive portal, if it was a third-party solution. But if someone came to me with the job of, hey, implement a captive portal for this location, and they wanted to have some actual really good captive portal features, the one that I would recommend is called First Spot. I think that's what it's called. First Spot? Hang on, let me look it up real quick. Yeah, First Spot, captive portal. So this is one that I have set up. I'll put it over here in the window. patronsoft.com/firstspot. This becomes, basically this is a separate server on the network. It becomes the, basically all traffic has to flow through this server. So it becomes basically a proxy server on your network. It is good for both wired and wireless clients. You can add exceptions. So for instance, if your access points need the ability to get through the captive portal in order to check in with a cloud-hosted Unify controller, that can be set up as exceptions, and it has more features than you would ever possibly use in a captive portal. That being said, it is expensive. It's like $1,500 to get into this captive portal. So the built-in tools with Ubiquity captive portal are fine if you have very, very vanilla needs. If you need to go beyond that in any way, then you need to upgrade yourself to something different. Again, there's a bunch of captive portals out there. I have personally worked with this one, and I know it works very well. I think Crosstalk Solutions needs a forum for its subscribers to discuss things like this and bounce ideas off each other. I love that idea. I would actually love to set up a Crosstalk Solutions forum. As a matter of fact, I have a Crosstalk Solutions ticketing system through Freshdesk, and that has forum capabilities where people actually do leave forum posts once in a while, even though I don't actually have it as something that I maintain or anything like that. So maybe at some point in the future we will do that. I just don't have the time to administer something like that right now. So let me take a step back. I know you were about to say something a little bit. Let me just take a step back real quick. And like I said, I love being open and honest with my subscribers. I like having a sort of transparent window into the stuff that I'm doing here on the channel as well as in business, because I want you guys to be successful too. Not only in the phone systems and the networks that you deploy, but also if you decide to go into business for yourselves. So where was I going with that? The business that I'm building, I am right now transitioning from being so involved in the day-to-day where I'm trying to separate myself from the day-to-day work and pass that off to the people that work for me. And I'm trying to focus more time on building the business itself, including creating additional YouTube videos on different subjects. So that's why my free PBX Made Easy series has been lagging. That's why I have skipped weeks here and there on putting out videos. I try to put out a video every Tuesday and Thursday. Sometimes I miss the mark because I'm just too busy. I've got too much stuff going on. So this year, I am focusing on pulling myself back from that so that I can focus on content creation and building the business. And that's one of the things that is on the list, right? You know, get this forum going, get other ways of communicating with my customers besides YouTube comments, which we all know can potentially be toxic from time to time. So that is where we are going with that. So, hi, I want to start
like you're trying to become a media mogul.
Not a media mogul, no. I just know that, you know, I want to bring in more YouTube subscribers and I want to bring in a varied audience, right? I want to be it's still in IT, but I want to vary things up a little bit, which is why I've talked about starting a Crosstalk Gaming channel, which I actually started this weekend. I did my first live stream on the Crosstalk Gaming channel over the weekend. I don't know if anyone was able to catch that or not. I'm actually thinking about doing that right after this live stream. So Willie has to go in about 25 minutes, and I was thinking of hopping over and playing some PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds on the Crosstalk Gaming channel. Let me know if you guys are interested in that. I also have thought about starting a sort of non-technical channel where I can express more personal opinions, where I can express or I can show things on that channel that aren't IT related necessarily, but maybe I got a new television, I want to show it off, you know, or do a review on it, something like that. You know, I don't know, whatever. I'm just throwing stuff out there. But yeah. So, anyways, that's all about that. And
I'm kind of in that same boat. If you watch my Security Saturdays, it's kind of a fork of, you know, there's not a lot of technical things to it now. This Saturday night, I actually talked about security in layers, which is a departure from what I usually do on Security Saturday, because the entire thing was about that concept. But for me, trying to find the balance between Ubiquity and other vendors, when I'm so invested in Ubiquity, I'm trying to find kind of that tightrope, or, you know, walk that tightrope. But and so Chris is a good sounding board for me, because where I tend to overthink things, Chris is like, F it, man, just do it. So, you know, we're trying to, I don't know, I'm kind of thinking about doing that same thing. And I put my phone number, Chris, I don't know if you can hear that. That's, should we take a live call here?
Sure.
This is Willie. Hello? Oh, they hung up. So I put my number out there earlier, and it looks like somebody was calling. It sounded like somebody was on the other end, but then when maybe they heard that and they hung up. So yeah, interesting.
All right, let's see. I know we missed some questions here. I saw a good Oh, so here's someone who's talking about the forums. I used to run a number of high-volume forums, and the 24/7 moderation required, including coordination of policy and ensuring all on the same page, is what takes time. It can be done. So that's exactly right. So the thing is, I just don't have time for that stuff. So I did see another.
Somebody mentioned something about a vendor named Mikrotik. I'm not familiar with them. I'm just kidding.
So I've done a Mikrotik video.
I know who they are.
My biggest problem with Mikrotik is the marketing of their product models. It's so confusing to figure out like what router board model number is for this and what comes with what, and it's just they made an incredibly difficult learning curve just to decide what product to actually buy.
I don't disagree with that.
And I think that's their biggest downfall. Now, Ubiquity suffers from a lot of that same problem, but they're not as bad. So Ubiquity has I run into this a lot with especially their point-to-point and point-to-multipoint wireless bridging equipment. People are very confused, if Ubiquity's listening right now, people are very confused what to buy and what works with other products. If I were Ubiquity, I would put a special section on the web page for like select your technology, AC 5 2.4 900 megahertz. Select your technology and then be able to filter on only the devices that are compatible in that specific technology. I think that would be a wonderful idea.
Hey, I saw a user out here, Mitch Boston, who is watching us, and I want to say hi to Mitch. He's kind of close to me. He's in Southern Illinois. He's in the education sector, and they are talking about having me out at an event to do a talk on Ubiquity. So shout out to Mitch.
Awesome. I actually had someone contact me not that long ago who was in he was in some sort of government. I don't remember if it was like the FBI or the CIA or something like that, or maybe it was the who protects the president?
Secret Service.
Maybe it was the Secret Service. But he was a guy who was a fan of the channel, and his job was to take access points and like technology, like wireless bridging, video cameras, etc. And his job was to create enclosures for those products that hide them from public view, so that when they go and they're doing a stakeout, they can put a camera up on a pole and no one would ever think that it's a camera. Like that was part of his job, was coming up with stuff like that. And I was like, that is so cool. But he reached out to me. I talked to him for about an hour, and he wanted me to come down and talk at one of their seminars. I asked him if I could film it because that would be awesome. And unfortunately, you can't, because he was doing it for the the FBI or whomever he was doing that for. So it wasn't something that I would be able to film. So ultimately, it didn't work out. But I thought that was a really cool job to have.
Are you going to be allowed to talk about it if you go do this speaking engagement?
I wouldn't. Yeah, that's the thing, is it didn't work out ultimately because I wouldn't be allowed to talk about it. And if I was going to go do something like that, I would love to actually film it and be able to share it on the channel.
So maybe you did it, you just can't tell us about it.
I did not do it. I would tell you if I did.
So there was something else that came up, and we wanted to talk about it. Now I'm trying to remember what it was. I see a lot of Mikrotik stuff, and yes, I do have Mikrotik, and I do have WISPs contact me that want help with Mikrotik, and I try to steer them back into Ubiquity. And maybe that's just me. I don't know about you, Chris. When people contact you for Mikrotik, do you try to steer them back into Ubiquity?
No. If someone contacts me for Mikrotik support, I just mostly tell them that I don't provide Mikrotik support. Listen, for anyone out there, there's a million ways to do things in IT, right? There's nothing that you can't do with Mikrotik that you can do with Unify and vice versa, right? So ultimately, if your goal is to get wireless connectivity for X number of clients, you can do that with any number of technologies out there, right? There's not a right or wrong answer. The right or wrong answer, to me, comes into play with how you deploy whatever technology you ultimately standardize on. And if it's insecure, that's a problem. If it
Right.
doesn't work well, that's a problem, right? So those are the things to look out for, not necessarily what, whether you went with Mikrotik or Ubiquity or TP-Link or whatever. It's mostly, how it's configured. Is it configured properly? And then once you are on that level playing field, you can start talking about, well, TP-Link is better than Ubiquity, or Ubiquity is better than Mikrotik, or Mikrotik's better than, whatever, because at that point you at least have the experience in how the stuff is actually working.
Right.
But most of that even is just going to be personal opinion. Ubiquity has very good marketing. Their products look good, right? Mikrotik products look like shit, in my opinion. Okay, so that's just an opinion-based fact. Is there such thing as an opinion-based fact? I don't know.
We just made it up. We just made it up.
Yeah.
But
it's like an alternative fact.
I'm not going to use the words that you did, but I'm going to say that aesthetically, Robert Parra coming from Apple, just like the guy who invented Nest, I think he came from Apple as well. When you look at the design methodologies that go into the packaging and everything like that, Ubiquity has a very much more visually appealing product.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I run into very few use cases where I can't use Ubiquity as my base to start building that network.
We talked about the three things that a successful business can. You have to have two out of the three things, right? Look at Apple, right? So Apple has good products. Again, opinion, but if they didn't have good products, they wouldn't be so successful. They have good customer support. They have crappy pricing.
Have you ever used their support? I mean, speaking of that, you go online, you put in your serial number, they call you in like 30 seconds. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I said, they've got two out of the three. The one that they're missing is the pricing, because their pricing is pretty outrageous.
Right. Well, but they can provide that level of customer support because they're, so it's that balancing.
Yeah.
That balancing act.
Yeah. So it's really, it boils down to when you're looking at a vendor to work with, especially in IT, it comes down to what are the things that are most important to you. And I talk to people about this all the time. I have this same conversation over and over and over when I'm talking to customers in the free PBX world, especially when it comes to SIP trunking, because you can get 20 channels of SIP for $74, right? Like you can find on crosstalksolutions.com. You can get really good, cost-effective SIP trunking, but it might not be the best quality. So is it the most important thing to you is it quality and reliability? Because in that case, you want to go with PRIs. Or a SIP trunk vendor, such as one of the big guys, Level 3 or AT&T or whomever, that can provide end-to-end quality of service out to their location beyond your internet connection, right? You're going to pay for that, though, right? Or do you want decent quality SIP, but it runs off of your existing internet connection, and if there's a problem, it might be your internet, it might be the SIP provider, you don't know, but you're getting a very good, cost-effective SIP trunk. So what is more important to you as the customer? To me, I don't care which one you go with. They're both going to work fine, but it's really, you got to think about what's important. Is it the reliability and the quality, or is it the price? And that's the same thing can be said for a lot of IT.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Cisco. So look at Cisco. They make a decent product. You can get the Cisco TAC, where you will circle the globe with support until they figure your problem out, but their prices are, it reflects in the prices. Now, we did talk about Ubiquity is augmenting that now with the Elite service, but I believe Elite is for Unify only, so they're not quite there yet with the other product lines. Interestingly enough, though, if you have I believe it's an AirFiber, and Ubiquity, anonymous Ubiquity employee, if you're listening, I believe on AirFiber, you can actually send AirFiber in for repair. It's one of the things that you can actually get repaired versus just a straight-up RMA.
Yeah. Have you used UCRM in a WISP environment? The WISP I run uses it, and it's a great free solution for Ubiquity. I think you should make a video on it. So great question, Jonathan. I am not a WISP, though, so I'm not in that business, and so I don't have a lot of experience with it. I have not used UCRM, though I do know a guy. His name is Brandon. He works for me. You thought I was going to say Willie, huh, Willie?
Well, I will tell you, I'm going to do a series on becoming a WISP because I am doing that.
Yeah. So Brandon utilizes a company for his wireless ISP management. It's not UCRM, but it's something else. I forget who they are, but they look pretty good. And I would like to start getting into more videos on that. But as I was saying earlier, it really boils down to time. So you understand, like when I do a video on a new product, like we've got this Axis door station that I was pointing out earlier, like the video for this thing might be 20 minutes long, but it's 4 hours of me learning it, 2 hours of me preparing and shooting the video, and 2 hours of me editing the video. So you get a 20-minute video, but it takes a full business day worth of my time to do a video on something like this. So that's where the problem comes in.
Yeah, to do it to your standards. I totally agree. Some of the videos that you watch me, if you look at my clock, sometimes I do these things on the fly, and I may not know all the ins and outs, but I know enough to get it up and going. And I will tell you in the video, hey, I've never done this before. We're doing it on the fly. We're doing it together. And so that it's just a difference of how it's presented. But Chris is absolutely right. And in putting that video together, 20 minutes wouldn't cut it.
So someone asked, why don't you stream your gaming on Twitch? I just haven't. Literally, I've done 2 gaming live streams so far, and they've both been on YouTube because I know YouTube and it's easy. But listen, I'm not a Twitch. I'm not a gamer as my main profession, so it's just a hobby. So I don't. That's why. Any thoughts on Camelio in front of multiple free PBX installs to centralize trunking, etc.? I love that idea. I love the ability to put Camelio in front of multiple free PBX servers. It works as a wonderful load balancer. It works as... There's so much that you can do with it that it really... Yeah, it's great. Like, I love Camelio. I don't know. I can't say enough about it. The thing is, in my world, I don't run across deployments that large very often. So you got to understand that the space that I work in... the space that I work in is the, 10 to like 200 extension space, okay? And though that space doesn't require bridgehead servers for, multiple, managing multiple free PBX systems in the back end. And so for the customers that are above the 200, maybe getting up into the 500, 1,000 phone deployments, they have their own IT staff. It's very rare that they're going to need a guy like me to come in and do that. They have people on site already. So I think it's a wonderful thing, but I don't get the opportunity to play with it very often. And Jay Williams, I'm trying to play PlayerUnknown's Battleground with you. I will try to pick it up soon. Awesome. Because they do have... do you know what PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is, Willie? Have you ever heard of that?
Nope, I'm not a gamer.
Freaking awesome, man. You're like a guy. You have you basically, the way it works is it's you versus 99 other people. So there's 100 people. You basically just parachute onto this big island. It's like 8 square kilometers. You can land anywhere on the island, and you just have to start finding guns. You find guns, and you just have to start shooting everyone else on the island until there's only one person left. And while that's happening, this circle is closing you in and closing you in and closing you in until you're basically in this very small area to where the final person wins. The game is awesome.
Interesting. I may have to check it out. I used to game quite a bit, and it consumed so much of my time, and I was staying up until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning gaming that I had to give it up.
Yeah. Someone asked, Chris, is that pfSense on the end of the table behind you? I assume you're talking about this box right here. So this is not pfSense. This is a Phone System 40 from Sangoma. However, you must be reading my mind because I have pfSense on this stick right here that I was going to put on this box. I was going to put a different SSD in it so that I could use this as a pfSense router just for testing. And I have 2 of those, except this one's for a client. This one is my own. Thoughts on flight simulation? I've never actually played much flight simulation games. How much should an IT tech charge for remote management? So that's a great question. And again, when you talk about becoming an IT consultant or even doing this on the side, what should you charge? And my answer to that is you will find out.
It's going to depend what your skill set is.
It depends on your skill set. As you're learning, you should charge less so that you can get some money coming in, and basically they're paying you to learn stuff. But your own market will determine what your costs are going to ultimately be. If you're in a market where people aren't willing to pay that much for your help, then you're going to get less than in a market where people pay a lot more.
Yeah. Chris, do you talk about your rates on the air, or is that something you just do via email?
I mostly do that via email. I don't have it published anywhere.
Okay. I didn't know if that was something you wanted to talk about in the next 4 minutes or not.
Nope. We only have 4 minutes left. Are we really at the end? Oh, I guess we are.
1:55.
Well, listen, let me take this opportunity then. Listen, guys, I would go all day long on this live stream stuff, but Willie, he's got stuff to do. He's got to get out of here. So we're going to end this live stream in about 5 minutes. I would like to thank everyone for joining. I think I saw about 258 or 270 people at peak periods watching this live stream. There's still 250 people watching right now, which is unbelievable to me. So
that's fantastic.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. I think, Willie, we should probably try to do this on a more regular basis because there's enough demand. People seem to be interested in what we're doing, and so
I agree.
Yeah. And again, just to plug myself, I think I'm gonna go off at noon, and then I think I'll come back at around 12:30 Pacific time. So in about half an hour, check the Crosstalk Gaming channel on YouTube, and I'm going to be streaming an hour or two of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
So I want to thank everybody for the money you sent over. Chris will send me my share so I can go pick up some hooch here in a little bit.
Nope, I will not.
What's that?
No, nothing.
And thanks, everybody. If you're not over, if you haven't been to my channel, come on over, subscribe. Chris's content, my content, it complements each other, and feel free to reach out. Yeah,
absolutely. You guys can reach out to Willie. He's at youtube.com. Just search Willie Howe, WILLIEHOWE, and you guys are already on the Crosstalk channel, so you know where I am.
Yep. Anything else, Chris?
No, why don't we take one more question before we go? You got a couple more minutes. Let's see if anyone asked anything in the last second here. Everyone's saying thank you. Well, again, thank you all you guys. I really have the best community, I swear to God. I mean, I did a video where I talked about some, goofy troll that had pissed me off, but in general, you guys are awesome. Like, I mean, it just blows my mind every day how much support I get from the community. So thank you.
I have only had to ban one person, and it's because he was making my regular subs feel like garbage, just downgrading them, and so I actually deleted his comments, and I will do that, but I've only had to do one in almost 10,000 subscribers, so thank you everybody for being public, or for being nice. Somebody asked, when will 5. whatever be public? Cruise on over to the Ubiquity community and check out the forums. I'm not going to speak officially on behalf of Ubiquity.
Favorite beer brand?
Sam,
I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go with my local guys, my Rogue Brewery. This is down the street from me, so I like Rogue a lot.
Yeah, and I don't drink cheaper. I shouldn't say cheaper domestics, but domestics that you have to drink really cold because of all the imperfections. So my biggest domestic is like a Sam Adams, and I do like a lot of microbrews.
Hey, someone just got an SSL set up thanks to you.
That's fantastic.
Wonderful. All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you again. We will do another live stream soon. Hopefully, I think the last one we did was like 6 months ago, so hopefully we'll get it sooner than that. Yeah, I think, does the chat log store after the stream? That's a good question. I don't know if it does or not. That's kind of why I put the chat up on the screen, though, so like if you guys are watching the live stream back, you can kind of see, that it's working.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thanks again. I appreciate it all. And you guys, anyone in the U.S., have a great rest of your Memorial Day. And anyone that's not in the U.S., have a great rest of your Monday.
And Chris, I will catch up with you this evening.
All right. Thanks. Sounds good.